So let's talk about it. Drake's new album, SSS For You, just dropped, and it's officially a flop. The numbers are in, and this is easily one of the biggest falls from grace we've seen in hip-hop history. For years, Drake has been dominating the game, setting records, dropping #1 hits, and running up the charts. But this time it's different. And the crazy part is, he and his team are still out here acting like everything's fine. But the numbers don't lie, and the industry has officially caught on. So let's break this down. Drake and his camp want you to believe this album is another win for him. They're doing everything in their power to spin a narrative. But SSS For You is a disaster. First week sales, 246,000 units. Now, at first glance, that might not seem terrible, but let's put this into perspective. This is almost a 50% drop from his last couple of albums. Even honestly, Nevermind, which was a surprise drop and a whole different genre, performed better in some ways. And let's not forget, SSS For You has 21 songs. A longer track list should mean more streams, more sales, more everything. But it didn't work. And if you take away the Drake superfans who made it their mission to artificially boost these numbers, this album barely cracked 200,000 in real organic streams. That's bad. That's really bad for someone who's supposed to be the biggest rapper in the world. Now, here's where it gets even worse for Drake. One thing he's always been obsessed with is the charts. He's bragged for years about having more Billboard hits than the Beatles. He even went on a tangent in his J. Cole collab, saying he's just one #1 song away from tying Michael Jackson. But with this album, he's nowhere near that record. Not even close. Honestly, Nevermind, which many called his worst album, still had a #1 song with Jimmy Cooks and 2 other top 10 hits. SSS For You? Not even one song has made a real impact on the charts. This is the worst performing Drake album in the streaming era. And you know what's ironic? The last time Drake had a #1 hit, he was bragging about how he's only getting bigger. And now, he's being forced to watch Kendrick Lamar, the guy he was sneak dissing, completely take over. Let's be real. Kendrick Lamar has had Drake in a chokehold for months now. Ever since he dropped that verse calling out Drake and J. Cole, the entire landscape of hip-hop shifted. People who were riding with Drake for years suddenly started questioning him. And now, after all the talk about him being the biggest in the game, Drake is the one struggling to chart. Meanwhile, Kendrick is effortlessly pulling in huge numbers, making impactful music, and proving why he's the real king of this era. Drake tried to act like none of that mattered, but deep down, this has to be eating him alive. He's watching his own words come back to haunt him. The momentum isn't on his side anymore. And look, it's not just about the numbers. The real issue here, nobody cares about this album. Back in the day, when Drake dropped a project, it was an event. Whether you liked the music or not, people talked about it. Songs like God's Plan, In My Feelings, started from the bottom. They didn't just go #1. They defined moments in culture. But SSS For You? What's the conversation around this album? Nothing. No viral moments. No impact. The only thing people are talking about is how bad it flopped. And this isn't just a one-time thing. This has been happening for a while. Drake's recent projects have been relying more on gimmicks than actual musical greatness. He's been feeding his fans quantity over quality. And now, people are finally catching on. And when an artist starts falling off, they do one of two things. They either accept it and try to reinvent themselves, or they start making excuses. And guess what Drake did? He started lying. As soon as it became clear that SSS For You wasn't going to be a success, Drake and his team started pushing a fake narrative that the album was being suppressed by the industry. They started making it seem like streaming services were out to get him, that his music was being shadow banned. This is the same guy who's benefited from playlists, label backing, and industry support for over a decade. And now, suddenly, he's a victim? Nah, that's just him trying to manipulate his fans into feeling bad for him. And sadly, some of them fell for it. The reality is, hip-hop has evolved past Drake. The new generation isn't looking for the same formulaic music he's been giving us. They want innovation. They want passion. They want something that moves the culture forward. And right now, Kendrick, Tyler, Travis, and other artists are doing that better than Drake. Drake can't keep coasting off the same formula anymore. He can't just throw 20-plus songs on an album and expect it to break records. The magic is gone. So, where does Drake go from here? Honestly, he's at a crossroads. He can either accept that he's no longer the biggest force in hip-hop and try to evolve, or he can keep fighting this losing battle and spiral even further. And let's be real, based on how he's handling this flop, he's not ready to accept reality yet. He still believes he's at the top, and his most loyal fans are going to keep feeding that delusion. But the rest of the world, we see what's happening. And if this keeps up, we're going to witness one of the biggest downfalls of superstar in hip-hop history. Because right now, Drake isn't just losing charts, he's losing relevance. At the end of the day, Drake's time at the center of hip-hop is coming to an end. He had a legendary run, but the numbers don't lie, and neither does the culture. So what do you think? Is this the end for Drake's dominance? Can he bounce back, or is this just the beginning of the end? Let me know in the comments. And if you made it this far, don't forget to like and subscribe. Trust me, the Drake stans don't want this video out there, so your support means a lot. Catch you in the next one. Peace.